I came to Vermont following the call of the forest spirits, embedded in tree, rock, and earth, seeking those who came before, natives, settlers, and more recent visitors. Written history, however, seemed to occupy all of the space. In the crevices of history, stories, artifacts, palimpsests called me to make resting places for my own ancestors linked to the land and others like them. Set in the woodland that holds it all, a vessel and a home for all the contradictory and incommensurate histories that link natives, slaves, settlers, and visitors to this land, and the bees making hive and honey from it all. The research to find the unwritten voices woven into baskets full of story, settlements linked to land as relative, the silent presences come to freedom, but not always respect, through the Underground Railroad and farming communities of freed slaves. The continuing flow of other, coming to belong, all trails hinting at history untold or unseen.
Old Man Pike was a sawyer at the mill in Craftsbury. He lived just down the road from here. Every morning he walked 6 miles through the woods over Dunhill Saddle while the sun rose. He took his dinner and supper in the village, then walked home across the mountain in the dark.
Vermont was first settled about 8,000 years ago by small groups of Paleo Indians who came to the region as glaciers retreated at the end of the last ice age. Vermont history began a dramatic change in 1609 when French explorer Samuel de Champlain named the beautiful lake that still bears his name to this day and claimed the area as part of New France.
But he needed an excuse to go and come through the mountains every day, all his life.
Champlain's sympathetic descriptions of the forests around his eponymous lake brought other French to the area. The first European settlement in Vermont history was Fort St. Anne, near Lake Champlain's northern reaches, not far from present-day Burlington.
People from targeted groups that included Abenakis and French-Canadian immigrants. The 1931 sterilization law was designed to purify what then University of Vermont zoology professor Henry Perkins called the fine old stock of original settlers in Vermont.
Lewis belonged to one of Vermont's notorious families. It was Lewis's family pedigree that provided the inspiration for the eugenics survey of
It is of importance to note that the box of materials containing the lists of people sterilized by the state of Vermont as a part of the eugenics movement has gone missing. State archivists do not know what happened to it, but even if it were to be located, the information contained in those files is considered confidential due to the delicate subject matter. If this information was available, it would provide a concrete answer as to whether or not the Abenaki people were actually targeted by the eugenics survey.
Most people were subsistence farmers. Didn't matter if you were black or white, that's what you did. What you did was come to Vermont, clear the virgin forest, became a farmer, and tried to make a go of it. Some did and others didn't. They did. They had quite successful farms up on the hill.
They had 2 days where all of the fathers and mothers attended recitations and readings and drawings and things and exhibits of the children.
Trouble came, they enlisted and fought in the War of 1812 and later the Civil War. Most returned to this land and intermarried with whites.
For some unknown reason, decided to put on this dialogue showing all of the different countries and the nationalities. So the teacher wanted me to take Africa, a black doll.
Kina, Listen. Long ago, when Tabaldak, the owner, had finished making things, some of the dust of creation was still on the owner's hands. So Tabaldak began to brush that dust away. It sprinkled down.
We're native. We're here. We've always been here. We're not leaving.
It began to shape itself. It shaped itself a torso, shaped itself a head, shaped itself shoulders, arms, and hands. It shaped itself hips. Then that earth, which shaped itself, sat up. "Awanigya," said Tabaldak. "Who are you?" "Ujihoso Nia," said that earth which shaped itself. "I am Ujihoso. I am the one who is gathering himself together." "You are very wonderful," said Tabaldak. "Bah," said Ujihoso. "No, you are the one who..."
We're native. We're here. We've always been here. We're not leaving.
Then Ujihoso looked around. All around was the beauty of the newly created earth. And Ujihoso became eager to get up and see it. But, like a small child eager to walk before he can, Ujihoso did not notice. He was not yet ready to walk. He had not yet shaped legs and feet. He was still connected to the earth. So, Ujihoso tried to stand. He pushed very hard to one side, and he did not move. He pushed harder and harder, so hard that the earth was pushed up in the mountains.